Blizzard's new approach is changing everything about how we play WoW. I wonder what this is about. I'm guessing about how things are going right now. It could be about time gating. Could be about time gating, because that's been a fucking problem. Let's see what the comeback kids have to say.
Every time a new expansion drops, it's the same cycle. Everyone's hyped, you're grinding like crazy for a few weeks, and then burnout hits. You're done. You're waiting for the next big thing that might never come. But Blizzard's flipping the script this time. Instead of one giant dump of content, they're rolling it out slowly. Little pieces of gameplay, events, and systems that almost...
Yeah, this was a mistake. This was a mistake. Honestly, I feel like Horrific Visions, by themselves, not that great. Same with the Nightfall content by itself, not that great. Dastardly Duos, I can't speak to yet because we haven't gotten it, but I just feel like this patch would have hit really hard and actually been kind of fun had all this stuff dropped together, because then we would have felt like we had a lot to do. But right now, each of these pieces of content in and of by themselves, they just feel like a one-day thing. Like Nightfall, oh, I did it, okay, done. Horrific Visions, yeah, I did that, fine, done. Like, they all just feel like, okay, one day, and then you're waiting for the next time-gated piece of content. I feel like this was a mistake.
Feel like a season pass. It's a huge risk, but it's also making me wonder if this might actually be the smartest move Blizzard's ever made. So it's time to be real on what's working here
No, I don't think
and
so.
what isn't, and why this slower, more...
I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of available content. Yeah, he should delete this. Yeah, that's a good move on his part. What the fuck? Overwhelmed by too much content? Then just don't do it all. Just do it when you can. What's wrong with people? Why do people feel like whenever something's available in the game, you got to go do it immediately? Well, so what if there's a lot of things to do? That's a good thing. That means every time you log in, you can make a list of things you want to do in your head and then go do them. What is this shit?
Seasonal World of Warcraft might be exactly what the game and we as players...
Too much content. Well, I mean, first of all, this guy's transmog is literally the fucking pre-order transmog for Shadowlands, so that says a lot about him off the bat. This guy's wearing a fucking pre-purchase of Shadowlands transmog, so I'm not going to trust anything he says. What the fuck? Too much content is a problem?
Players
FOMO, that's
need
why?
to finally break...
Well, that seems like a personal problem. People need to get over FOMO. That's a fucking childish thing. Just Blizzard should just release content, and then everyone does it as they can do it. I don't see the reason for, time gating shit to baby people and hold people's hands, make sure they don't play the game too much or something.
That burnout cycle. Now, in the past,
Too
every
much
new
reacting.
major patch or season would drop everything at once. You got Mythic Plus, the new raid, PvP season, new events, all of it dumped on us in one shot. And you do your best to grind it all as fast as possible just to stay relevant. And if you didn't, you would always feel like you're falling behind. I mean, you remember those days, everyone's no-lifing Mythic Plus, smashing through rage, trying to gear up in every possible way, and then, just a couple weeks later, half of the guild is burned out, everyone's exhausted, and it feels like World of Warcraft has become like a second job you have to keep up with. That's kind of how the burnout starts, and honestly, it's a terrible way to design an MMORPG. When patches force you to treat the game like a job, it kills the fun and drives people.
I mean, I will say the seasonality of WoW, it's much quicker paced now than it used to be, where, you'd get a raid and the raid would be open and that'd be it, basically. And we're talking about Wrath of the Lich King days. It's different now because of Mythic Plus and how quickly you can gear out and how quickly a season takes off. And yeah, burnout can happen for sure, but I don't know if Blizzard time gating content is going to stop burnout, or is the way to handle burnout. I feel like it's just a player problem. Like, just players need to fucking calm down. If you want to be the best of the best, you want to have the best gear, you want to be top end everything, okay, then go do that. Don't complain about how you had to do it. And if you don't care, then just enjoy the content for what it is.
People away instantly, but now it feels like Blizzard's finally letting us slow down. It's like they're saying, hey, it's okay, you could play at your own pace and you're not gonna be...
Then get rid of FOMO, don't nerf catch-up mechanics. I don't get why. I'll be honest, the what's it called, the cartel coin or whatever, the thing that we're using now to buy our best in slot, I'm shocked Blizzard's not putting catch-up mechanics with that. Like, if you miss a week, you're just out on a coin. That is fucked up. I don't agree with that. I think you should be able to come back to the game. Maybe you got a week where you couldn't play or whatever. You should be able to come back, and if you're willing to put in some time, catch back up. I agree with that totally on Real Blue. If you're gonna have mechanics that are kind of everything dropping at once, then yeah, create a way to catch up. That's fine. But time gating it, I don't think is the way to do it.
Left behind. And that's a relief mentally. You've got way more time to enjoy each piece of content without feeling like you're missing out. There's room to breathe, to actually savor the new stuff. For casual players, it's a game changer. You're not left in the dust if you're not logging in every day. It's like the game's finally telling us that we're okay and we're part of this, even if you're not a sweaty degenerate playing 6 hours a day like we used to. For me, the biggest win, though, is that there's always something around the corner to look forward to. There's a little update that makes it feel fresh. Weekend after weekend and month after month. Even if you're not playing as hard as you used to, there's always some small piece of content giving you a reason to log back in. 1 week, it's a new event in Hollowfall. Then a few weeks later, it's Horrific Visions. A couple weeks later after that, it's Dastardly Duos. And before you know it, you're straight into another major patch.
I just feel like the Hollowfall content for me wasn't enough. I feel, and it was broken, so maybe that was part of the problem. But I just feel like Horrific Visions should have hit with the patch. They should have. If you wanted to wait on Dastardly Duos to be like a mid-patch cycle thing that drops, okay, that would have been fine. Time gating, done right, maybe can be good. You know, I'll give it that, maybe, but this wasn't done right. This was way too much time gating. They want to time gate shit on the back end and say, hey, we want something to release mid-patch cycle to give you something to be excited about. Fine. But taking the major piece of content, which was Horrific Visions in this patch, and then putting it in the middle of the patch cycle just didn't feel right to me. It felt like this patch here, there was nothing to be excited about early on.
Brand new content to rinse and repeat this process. This constant flow and these steady drips of new stuff keep me logging in way more often, and for the first time in years, I don't feel burnt out playing WoW. To be completely honest with you guys, this might be the most alive WoW has felt to me in a very, very long time, and the player base retention is all here for it. When it comes to games, it's hard to keep someone on one game nowadays. Every other week, there's a brand new major release on a console or PC that looks amazing, and people want to try everything. So World of Warcraft has ended up feeling almost like a seasonal game for a lot of people.
It is. It doesn't just feel like it. It is a seasonal game. WoW is a seasonal game for sure. If you're going to miss a season, you miss a season, you come back the next season, you pick up where you left off, you catch back up real quick. And the stuff from the previous season is usually irrelevant for the next season. It's very much a seasonal game at this point.
Go hard for a few weeks, and then you bounce until the next expansion or major patch. But Blizzard's shifting their entire philosophy now. They're not just trying to cram everything in one patch and hope it keeps everyone around for months. Instead,
well, Brad, yeah, we looked at the numbers, by the way. What you're talking about, that upping the eye level kept you coming back. Yeah, the Turbo Boost event, as Blizzard called it, that was a big boon for the game. Actually, we looked at the numbers, and people did come back for that for sure. So yeah, time gating content. I don't know if that's necessarily the reason people came back, but upping the item level mid-season, yeah, that was a big one. That actually did bring people back for sure.
They're trying to keep us around longer by doing something actually very simple. You release content consistently, you don't front load everything at once, and you build a steady flow of updates that feel like there's always something fresh around the corner, so you've got a reason to log in every week. It's not just one crazy patch.
I just feel like there's a difference between having something fresh around the corner and taking the amount of content that should have been released altogether and dividing it up into pieces and then giving it to you down the line. I think those are two different things. Like if they created extra content for us, something cool mid-patch cycle, that's fine. But taking the content that would typically be released all at once on patch day and splitting it out into pieces over weeks and months, to me, isn't the way to do it.
And to be quite frank, it's working better than I expected. It's giving the game room to breathe, and it's making me feel like there's always something to come back for. And I think that's the real magic here. It's not that the game is suddenly, perfect, because it's not, but it feels like Blizzard's finally giving us a version of World of Warcraft that respects our time and wants us to enjoy.
I guarantee you the comment section of this video is absolutely hateful towards this man. I'm going to read it after.
Any and all forms of content active in the game currently. For an MMO that's been around
I feel like
for
most
2
people
decades,
don't like this.
It's probably why, for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to log in every day instead of honestly trying to just burn through a checklist to keep up. Currently, it's not just about adding more content or flashy new borrowed power systems that go away after a month. It's about reshaping how we as players think about playing the game. I remember back then feeling so damn stressed if I missed just a week or even two, where it felt like I would always be too far behind to ever catch up, and it really discouraged the crap out of me to continue playing. So I'd just leave, I would go play a different casual game and find something else to de-stress rather than me playing WoW and it feeling like a job. Now, I can step in whenever I want and still feel like I'm part of the loop. My friends and guildmates are playing for a significantly longer duration. Our guild has like 40 to 50 people on every single night, and whether you're a casual or someone who really takes things hardcore, you're always at your own pace, and that's what makes this whole scene and the livelihood of WoW.
But are you at your own pace? If Blizzard's time gating shit, you're not really at your own pace. You're playing at the pace that Blizzard thinks you should play at. Because if you're playing at your own pace, then Blizzard just make everything available, and then you play it as you want to, right? You decide when you want to start getting into raiding. You decide how far you want to go into Mythic Plus. You decide if you just want to do delves for a week. But if everything's time gated and things aren't available yet, then you're not really doing that. You're playing at the pace Blizzard has determined is the best pace to play the game.
WoW feel more alive to me.
That's why I don't like time gating. Just let people pick. Someone wants to be a sweaty degenerate, and then they get mad at the game for making them a sweaty degenerate. No, you did that to yourself. Take some accountability, people. You did that to yourself. You burned yourself out. It's your fault. And if you wanted to play the game more casually, you could do that.
Statistically, right now, it's supposed to be the most dead time of an entire expansion, where we're at the smack middle point of the middle patch. So this new approach, as good as it feels in a lot of ways, though, it isn't exactly perfect, because if you're going to roll out content, you know, bit by bit, this content has to be polished when it finally lands. And right now, that's not always the case. The first real test of this new content cadence was, of course, the 11.1.5 Nightfall patch. They rolled it out in pieces where you would get Nightfall first, then 4 weeks later, you would get Horrific Visions, and then a couple weeks after that, you get the Dastardly Duos. Now, on paper, that staggered release scared a lot of people, but in practice, it did a lot of good for the game. That is until Nightfall dropped. Nightfall was...
I saw comments on the forums about that this wasn't really Blizzard's intention, that Horrific Visions weren't ready. And that's why they did what they did. And if that's the case, I feel like that's better, because then it makes me feel like, well, Blizzard didn't want to only give us this tiny piece of content to launch the patch. They wanted to give us more, but they just weren't ready, and they didn't want it to launch broken. So much for that, right? The freaking Horrific Visions. The Hallowfall shit, Nightfall shit was completely broken. But I just think if you're gonna time gate it, don't do it like you're doing it right now. That's for sure. This was too much.
The big highlight of the patch, but the launch, it was pretty laggy. I remember logging in with friends, all of us are pretty hyped, and then within minutes, the servers were kind of cooked. The event itself was okay, and there were some cool cosmetics, a 10-level renown track, and it was all cool, but the lag and the stuttering and the breaking of the event, it killed the vibe almost instantly. And it's a huge letdown when the, first major event of a patch drops and it doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
So Blizzard, they cleaned it up after a couple days, but by then, the initial excitement was already gone for a lot of people. Now, honestly, it feels like there are two completely different teams working on these patches at times. The 0.0 patches, the patches that are the major releases, they always feel very polished. But then you hit the 0.5 patches, which is the middle point, and it's like the quality drops off pretty significantly. The anniversary event last year was another perfect example where there was bugs everywhere, weird design issues, and it just felt like it was thrown
I missed the
together
anniversary
at the last
event.
second. And here's the thing, though. If you're going to drip...
That thing was fun. The anniversary event was fun, and that was some good patch content right there.
Feed the content like this. If you're going to make it slower paced, it can't feel rushed or broken. Otherwise, it completely undermines the whole point of giving players a reason to log in every couple of weeks. You're setting them up to be excited, and then they immediately get let down when things aren't working properly. I'm not saying Blizzard has to be flawless here. No game is flawless. But when you're telling players to show up for new events, they gotta work properly. If it's buggy or half-baked, all it does is make people question whether this whole seasonal approach is even the right move, and if it's even worth it in the first place. Another example was 4 weeks after the Nightfall, we got Horrific Visions, and right away players noticed some issues. The first one is, if you wanted to earn the cosmetics, Blizzard tied them to an achievement that was time-gated by the Horrific Visions
Yeah,
talent
they
tree.
like
So
doing this.
you had to wait a minimum of 3 weeks to finish it, and the
Yeah, that's
form.
another thing. They time gated the time gated content. Like right now, right, Horrific Visions, yes, they were time gated. First of all, you could only do Stormwind, you couldn't do both. So that means anything that you wanted to get from Orgrimmar, you couldn't do yet. Plus, you get your full corruption resistance. You have to run both and full clear both. Well, then that's another time gated thing. They also have that hourglass tree, right? You're filling out the talent tree. That thing's time gated too. So there's a lot of time gating inside of the time gating, which just again feels like Blizzard's, they're like worried about you, like I'm only gonna give you a little bit because you're gonna eat all the candy if I put the whole bowl in front of you. It's like, my God, like if the player wants to eat the whole bowl of candy and then they don't, then they need to realize they're gonna get a stomach ache after. Just let them do it. Let them do it. Give them all the content they want. This way, if I just want to come back and keep eating the candy, maybe I pick out the Tootsie Rolls first, and then I come back and eat all the Reese's, or I just eat it all at once. Let me do it how I want to do it.
Blew up, Twitter exploded, and to their credit, Blizzard fixed it within 24 hours, which was great, but still, the fact that it launched like that says a lot. And even now, there's still the problem that the talent tree itself is still time-gated, and you could only get so many points per week, which means if you're a casual, or you're not super experienced, or not that great at the game, you're going to feel way too weak and fragile inside of Horrific Visions, and it's not going to be a fun little grind. It's not going to be a cool event. It's just going to be frustrating, and people are going to bounce before they even get to enjoy the full experience. So I'm going to be honest, I'm on the side that thinks it's kind of fun. It just needs to be fully available right away. Drip feeding an already drip-fed time-gated content just kills the excitement before it even starts. It turns what should be a lot of fun, an alt-friendly piece of content, into a chore, and by the time people are actually able to play it properly, they're gonna be checked out. Now, I want to be super clear here. Once again, I still think Blizzard is doing a lot of things right. This slower drip content cadence, for me personally, it makes the game way more manageable, way more fun for players who don't want to burn out, and it's really good for alts. It's amazing for progression. It keeps the game fresh, and it always gives you something to look forward to every other week. But when the content they're giving us is either half-baked, buggy, or just flat out broken, it's a problem, and they are aware of something like that. And then lastly, they were going to release the
that's another problem with time gating content. So you're only getting one thing at a time. If that one thing is broken, then the game just feels broken. Whereas if they had released Nightfall with Horrific Visions, if Horrific Visions were working and Nightfall wasn't, then everyone just goes and does that, and then when Nightfall's fixed, they'll go up and do that. But because Nightfall was the only piece of content we got, and it was horrifically broken, we couldn't do anything. It just felt like the game was unplayable.
Bit of content near the end of the patch, which, being completely upfront, this isn't a great game mode. There's little to no rewards being tied to it. It's like okay when it comes to levels of fun, but there are no real rewards. There's no really cool titles or major cosmetics tied to it. So why wait over 6 weeks to release this? Why not just release it either in between Horrific Visions and Nightfall, or just up front? We just gotta remember, ladies and gentlemen, people who aren't actively playing WoW, they are dying to find a reason to crap on the game. They're always going to say something like, oh, it's a mobile game now, one-button rotations, the lore is so childish, we want
big, a lot of hate watchers out there.
All that crap, but they're going to look for any excuse to pile on the game.
We want big, sweaty men. I mean, I was kind of saying that earlier. I do want some more sweaty men lore, but it's not all I need. Okay, there's other things in the game right now. There's lots of good things about the game. They're doing a lot of good stuff. I do like the cadence at which they're releasing patches. I just don't like the time-gatedness within the patches. That's all.
That includes people who don't even understand what's actually going on in the lore, in the game itself, or even aware of how many wins Blizzard has honestly been stacking up month in and month out over and over again. So the question is this style of content release actually working? Well, even with the bugs, the delays, with the stuff that didn't quite land perfectly, Blizzard's risk here is actually paying off. If you look at some of the data when it comes to World of Warcraft and holding more players now, it held more than it did in Dragonflight at the same exact point. And what's even crazier is that Dragonflight Season 2 launched with significantly more players, and by this point in the War Within, we have about a 20% increase in participation rate for Mythic Plus and then certain content overall. Remember, this isn't just some random data because...
This is up to 5.6. So, yeah. When did, what's it called? When did the damn, power-up system kick in? Not the power-up system, the power leveling shit, the increase in eye level. It might have been after this, but that's really what brought a lot of people back, was the power leveling shit that they released. So I don't know if you can compare them directly. I will say, though, I think player retention is better in the War Within. Although Dragonflight had a lot of fixing to do from fucking Shadowlands, so congratulations to Dragonflight. At least they did that. But going through the War Within, this season in particular, Season 1 sucked. I'll say it. Mythic Plus in Season 1 was absolutely horrible. Season 2, much, much better. Much better.
Because this is the new approach
turbo
of
boosted
faster
yeah, that's what it's
content
called.
release, more consistent updates and things to always look forward to, and it's working better than probably anyone would have thought, definitely including my own. The community is still popping off. Friends and guildmates are still around. The game doesn't feel like something you have to grind anymore. It feels like something you can just casually enjoy. It's not perfect, though. I'm not going to pretend it is. There's a lot of things Blizzard needs to improve on, but overall, this more, slow-paced, consistent flow of updates is the smartest thing they've done in years, and it's letting people play at their own pace.
I agree. The consistent flow of updates is great. I just don't like the time-gatedness when the update hits. You can time-gate the update itself, but then don't time-gate within the update. That's
I
the
love
problem.
that they give us reasons to log in every week, and it makes WoW, to me personally, feel alive. And that's part of the real magic for me. This is the first time in a long time where I'm not stressed playing retail WoW when it comes to falling behind with all these systems and things that complicate me, and it stresses the crap out of me normally, but it's just a video game I can casually enjoy but still progress as far as I want. You tie all of that together with Mythic Plus getting greatly improved over the last couple months. The alternate character progression is really, really fast. It's probably the best it's ever been. There's a ton of catch-up mechanics and systems to dive into, tons of reputations to grind and cosmetics and renowns to check out if you want to, solo challenges
There's
and
a lot of
content
things
to
to do,
play
for
completely
sure.
on your own. Things from a game design standpoint feel very full, yet it's not overbearing or stressful. There's just options and different roads to go down if you want to. Now, listen, retail, while it is imperfect, it does have some issues, but this new approach overall feels very right, and it fits the modern game design of what an MMO should be. It gives us room to breathe.
I think there's people there. You can play the game in any way you want. You got delves now, which I think were a great addition to the game. Mythic Plus rating, just do open world content if you want. There are a lot of ways to play the game. So letting a player pick if they want to be a sweaty person who does everything, or they just want to be Greg from accounting who only runs delves, that's the best way to do it. Timing the patches correctly is good. I'm fine with that. You don't have to give everything all at once. But like I said, it's the time gating within the patch that was the major problem this time around, I think.
It lets us enjoy the game at your own pace, and for the first time in years, it feels like WoW's moving in a direction that respects
exactly,
everyone's
Lustin.
time, your life,
Only
your
don't worry about it. I'll
IRL,
form it up
and the
quick.
fact that we're all doing it and we're a little bit older now and busier now. I mean, it just makes sense. I've never felt more excited to log in and see what's new, not because I have to, but because I really want to. And to me, that is the real victory here, man. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Are you enjoying the new seasonal flow? Are you loving everything going on right now? Are you hating it? Do you feel burnt out? You gotta let me know about it. I'm dying to hear your thoughts. Either way, I'll be reading every single comment. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, watching the video. One last note we wanted to make. If you're looking for a guild or people to progress through Mythic Plus with or raid with next season, the Comeback Kids are recruiting, and any and all players are welcome to come on down, play with us. We're looking to fill out some new members for the raid.
It's a cool
Oh my
animation.
god, we fucking did it. Oh my god, let's
I
fucking
remember this part of
go.
the orgasm.
Let's fucking go. That's how that shit gets done. If you're on the Horde, you can simply just go to the guild tab and search up the Comeback Kids, and we should pop up. Make sure you do have the guild size on any so you can actually see us. Either way, though, if it doesn't work, you just use the Discord
gotta
link
check
in the
the
comment
comments.
section below. Hop in there and verify, get yourself in, and then we can get you invited by you posting your name and server under the guild invite tab. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content and want to stay up to date on everything World of Warcraft, consider hitting that subscribe button and check out these videos here if you're really hungry for more. We also stream our live show every Wednesday night right here on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, he had some interesting opinions on time gating. He actually liked it a lot, which I was shocked by. I feel like most people don't, but let's see the comments anyways. I just came back first week at 83, way better than the past. I just want to gear up and raid. I'm so happy about delves. Yep, a lot of people love delves, man. Delves are great. Honestly, you're right. Oh, he's liking these comments. Yeah, honestly, you're right. For a casual, I've never accomplished so much. And WoW, I've played since TBC. For me, it's exactly the opposite. The fact that everything resets every 3 months and all of the work that I've spent gets thrown out the window a month later just made me quit. I enjoy MMOs because of their longevity, the performance, and the world and content. When almost everything gets reset every 3 months, the gears and raids get invalidated every new season, I don't see the point in playing. He's kind of right, though. You're going to have a new raid every season, so of course your old gear is not going to be as good as the new shit you can get. And if you progress through the previous season, the next season you're set up better to progress early on. So I wouldn't say that everything gets thrown away. But gear progression is just part of an MMO. It's always going to happen. You're never just going to be always the most geared guy in the game because you were geared 2 months ago. That's never the case. Find a new game, noob. Yeah, the thing about the, what's it called? Not necessarily the reset, but the time gating, to me, is the issue. So I don't necessarily agree with this comment. I think gear is always going to get bad after a while. It's just going to happen. What Blizzard has done better than ever this season is accessibility and catch-up. Yes, this is why the dinar thing with no catch-up to me was a shocker. The fact that you can't get dinars if you miss a week, that's the crazy thing. I don't understand the philosophy behind that. My favorite part in WoW is hitting max level, doing lower level content like delves and lower keys, low stress environment. Man, delves have really become a fan favorite, I feel like. On one hand, alt friendliness is great, but on the other hand, I feel less attached to my character as a side effect. Well, then only play one character. That's what I do. I just started playing WoW, January 2025. I feel the burnout. Trying to keep up with Mythic Plus system and every day is tiresome. It is difficult to find a group. When you find a group, someone in rage quits. First fail, falling at least at the last boss. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Delves are great. Yep, I think that's the consensus. Without delves, the game would not be easy to gear a new player and with no WoW experience. I will be taking breaks throughout the week so I don't quit the game. Yeah, take breaks, man. Pace yourself. So I think the consensus, honestly, people seem to be really loving delves. That seems to be the consensus on these comments. Most of all, I don't see anybody complimenting necessarily time gating. I'm not a time gating fan myself, but my experience is that Blizzard does it so players don't burn out, though. A lot of people were bitching about the tapered release, so it's fun to hear this. I don't like the tapered release. But yeah, people are having fun. It's a good season. I agree with a lot of this stuff. Good raid. The delves are fun. But overall, the time gating, I think, was a bit too much this patch. That's the main thing.